Could you tell me a little bit about the background of Mukurtu and how you became involved in its development?
So I've personally been involved with Mukurtu, the Mukurtu project, since 2010 when I met Kim Kristen in Berkeley. She asked me to see if I could help figure out how to make Mukurtu a worldwide application as opposed to what it had been, which was an application that had been used for a group of tribes in the Pacific Northwest where she was, and of course here in Australia in Tennant Creek with the Warramunga community back in the day. In 2011, we started the Center for Digital Archaeology, which is a nonprofit that's associated with UC Berkeley, and we've been going guns blazing ever since. And we're really excited to be back here now because we have a new version of Mukurtu 2.0, which is really ready for the worldwide stage, and the reception here has just been fantastic.
Beyond its use in Australia, can you tell us a little bit about how it has been used closer at home in the Americas?
Sure. So Mukurtu has been used. We're obviously, since we live in the United States, and we've been most actively funded by U.S. federal funds. There's been a lot of focus on working with Native tribes, both federally recognized and non-recognized tribes in the U.S. and throughout Canada. What's happening now is that the Mukurtu is being picked up. We're finding incredible uses for it. It's really fun when people write to us and say, "Hey, I just took a class at such and such university, and we were studying Mukurtu in our class." And so it's being used in educational purposes. It's being used. The core things that make Mukurtu really special for us are to hear its uses for language revitalization. Languages are being lost so fast; it's just breathtaking, and that's a really core use. So we just got back from what's called the Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums. Their meeting was in Washington, D.C., where we did a full-day workshop there, plus a set of additional sessions afterwards with another fantastic initiative called the Sustainable Heritage Network. And what's really cool about the SHN is it's a way for tribal communities actually worldwide to share their own knowledge, but to be able to use the power of Mukurtu to provide differential access. So for just a quick example would be that the Inuit members may know a whole lot about canoes. They're willing to share that curatorial knowledge with other tribes, but some of that knowledge is sacred. And so the ability of having differential access, which is the core essential heart of Mukurtu, actually makes that possible, which is really great.
Have you found any major differences to how it's been used here in Australia to how it might be being used back home?
Yeah, there are some really key differences we're finding to the application of protocols here in Australia to how things are done back in the US. Because cultures have different approaches. Cultural protocols are no less or more significant there. That's not really the point, but key issues of avoidance, which is a major concept in Aboriginal communities. It's very hard to explain to people back home how that works. That if your mother-in-law walks in a room, that you may have to actually leave the room. These kind of core concepts, but as you go through the cultural trainings and you get to learn this, then it starts to make a whole lot more sense. So just in the workshops we've already done, this is our third workshop that we're doing here today. We've had examples where everyone in the room agreed that that the content that would be shared within the room was totally fine, and then just in Armidale, an item was put up, a video that was put up, and it just turns out that someone had recently passed. A person had passed just 2 weeks ago, and so it was an incredible learning moment. And it's those kinds of things that make Mukurtu very special, because right in that moment we could add a protocol of deceased, and then allow, even though the families wanted this video to be shared, the other communities have different ideas about when it's okay to see. One of the things that's absolutely amazing to me is it isn't typically about wanting to put a lock on it so that it cannot be shared. It's the idea that protocols and warnings that can help individuals within communities here not see things until they're ready to see them. That's really special.
I understand there's been some discussion about hosting Mukurtu server here in Australia, and I'm just wondering how that might be progressing.
Well, I'm really excited. I'm hoping that we will have Mukurtu.net.au, and I'll just take this quick moment to explain what's happened here. So setting up your own digital safekeeping place is extraordinarily difficult. It is. I mean, we're here at the State Library, and they have a fantastic amount of resources, and they know how difficult this is. So we have basically two missions for coming back. One, of course, is to do these workshops, but the other thing that can be a bit heartbreaking with the workshops is, okay, well, great, now everyone's excited. How do you get Mukurtu? Setting up, all that the capability and making sure that your hard drives aren't going to die is just a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think I can be quoted with the following statement: as of today, is that the State Library and museums and galleries are both very keen on sponsoring this initiative. Now, we as a nonprofit want to help to run the overall service and provide all the fantastic concierge services that we do. We can help with everything from training to actually building out websites and adding content and all this. And we want to help to be the overall kind of caretakers of the service into the next millennium, hopefully. But we cannot do this alone. There has to be Mukurtu services here available in Australia. There should be more than one data center available, but if things go through, as fingers crossed, then the State Library will play a very large role in that. Now, one thing that's critically important for communities is a true sense of sovereignty. So the idea there is that through sponsorship, you could have a Mukurtu.net.au site that is truly yours as a community, but perhaps the cost of those will be a bit offset and sponsored by the State Library, who consider themselves to be in a position of mandate to really make this possible. So we're absolutely thrilled, and we think that this is going to happen. It could even happen today, so we're excited.
One more question. Thank you so much. And how do you hope to see it being used in the future then? Is there anything is there a greater expectation of it's already doing, or is it?
For Mukurtu?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I personally got into this and continuing with our organization because I believe that digital preservation needs to be true for every human. We'll say that it's a right, okay? So where generations past have had to work out how to work with paper or cuneiform tablets or all the fantastic petroglyphs you have here in Australia, we as the human race hasn't figured out how to work with digital yet. It's just very fragile and delicate. So my hope is that Mukurtu will be a movement, that it will start to really engage and spark interest and community development around the world. So a couple of cool things that are already happening. One is to come up with this completely secure platform, and it has to be able to work offline. I just found out just today that in terms of the broadband initiative of your country, less than 6% of communities, of the population actually has access to broadband. Okay, so then 94% have to have a version of Mukurtu that can run right within a community center. Great. In the future, mapping, mobile, portable. The idea that you could have, like one of the ideas we have is Mukurtu in a box. I could have Mukurtu running and a little appliance dingus you could just leave at your grantee's house. And every time you come to visit and have dinner and share stories, your content is just being shared right there. Wouldn't that just be fantastic? These are not pipe dreams. We're really working to make this happen. But I would say, I would hope that in this conversation that we can inspire community development to happen worldwide. And you don't have to be a technologist, although it's becoming easier and easier. I know 8-year-olds that know more about digital technology than I ever will. So it is becoming a whole lot easier, but mostly what we need right now are the ideas. We need to hear the feedback from the communities. We're absolutely serious. That's why it's taken us 3 years to come up with 2.0 on active community development, which is what makes the project really special.